Good evening and welcome to another series of Heritage Unleashed. We're coming live here from Ballyadams Castle in southeast County Laois. I would like to say thank you to the cameraman here, Eoin Cahill from Laois Heritage Society. I would also like to thank the local landowners for inviting us to come here and have a talk about Ballyadams Castle here today. Just to give a little bit of information about Ballyadams. Ballyadams basically is a townland and also a barony in County Laois. Its Irish name is Ballyadams, which translates to the town of Adam. But there's also a much earlier name to Ballyadams, and it's called Kilmacady. And Kilmacady basically is a church site that's located up on the hills behind us here, and it's known as the Church of Aid. And Aid was a saint, Saint Aid MacBrayach was his name. So on the hills up above there, we can see that the church site is just up beyond the trees there, and there's also a windmill up there on the trees as well, which was used as part of the agricultural landscape here around the castle. The gatehouse here at Ballyadams is likely a 14th century construct. It was likely built as a gatehouse to an Anglo-Norman castle that stood here possibly in around the 1310s, 1320s. On the far side then we see the walls, the three-storey walls of a fortified house, and this fortified house with its big open windows, which weren't a defensive feature as such. It was built in a time when the occupants thought that Laois was pacified, hence the windows here at the rear of the house. Basically what we're looking at is on the fortified house here again, we have a three-storey house, and it would have been originally part of the curtain wall of the gatehouse that we see here, which is the most distinguishable feature here at Ballyadams. So I suppose the first record of Ballyadams comes to us from 1301, when it was recorded Eustace Lepore was granted the castle in the time of Henry I, or Longshanks, in 1301. And it's likely that Eustace would have built this gatehouse here with the curtain wall in around 1301 when he was granted the castle. Now it's interesting that the gatehouse is facing west here, and it's facing west out into the wilds of Laois beyond. Athy is actually is approximately 6 kilometres to the east here, and there would have been an old road running from Athy to Ballyadams. And of course Athy would have been a heavily garrisoned town during the Anglo-Norman period in Ireland. So in essence what we see here, Ballyadams is basically, it's a fortified frontier outpost, if you like, in County Laois, and the gatehouse is facing west, right into the wilds of Laois. Of course Dunamace at the time would have been fortified, and it would have been an Anglo-Norman settlement as well, but there would have been land in between Dunamace, Ballyadams and Athy which needed to be fortified, and Ballyadams was part of that fortification process. So in 1346 the castle, it's recorded in Friar Klein's Annals of Ireland that the castle was attacked by the O'Moores of Laois, and basically they attacked the castle, bearing in mind the Anglo-Norman colony in Ireland was under immense pressure at the time. There was the Bruce invasions in 1315. There was a famine in the intervening years up to 1318 as well. And I suppose, as I said, the colony, the Anglo-Norman colony, was in decline. The barons, the great barons, the Anglo-Norman barons, went into kind of a civil war in Ireland in the 1320s after the Bruce invasion. And again that kind of further undermined their authority, and the gaps kind of came about, and the local chieftains rose up, and in 1346 the castle was attacked by the O'Moores, and it was actually taken over by the O'Moores. As another record is in 1354, the O'Moores become custodians of the castle and manor here at Kilmacady in County Laois. Well, I'll just talk a little bit about the features then of the castle, I suppose. The O'Moores, as I said, it would have been originally a gatehouse, Anglo-Norman gatehouse, but when the O'Moores took it over, they may have kind of converted it into a kind of a tower house, or a livable fortification, if you like. And we can kind of see on the top window up above here, it's an ogee-headed double light window here, and that's a kind of a feature we see in archaeology around Ireland, and it would date from around about 1400 to about 1550 AD. And that would have been inserted in there, and the lord and lady of the castle, the local chieftain O'Moore, whoever that may have been within that period, they would have had their living quarters in the upper level there of the castle. You can also see the crenellations on the top of the castle, a defensive feature. You can see a kind of a higher level to the northern tower, and of course that would have been an extra feature for surveying the landscape. And on a clear day you can see all the way into County Kildare and Carlow and places like that. So any attacking army that would have been spotted coming, and the garrison would have been prepared for the attack. Below that then we have an archway which has been bricked up, evidence of repair in a much later period again, repair of the castle, and that would have been used as a defensive feature over the main doorway there. You can see some of the window opes here. They're fit neatly into the days when people used crossbows to defend the castle. They're narrow slit opes. Obviously if you're attacking the window from the ground, it's going to be hard to get a projectile in through those narrow windows. But if you're inside, you have much more of a range, and you can fire at multiples of angles inside. Below that then we have the doorway here, which is quite a feature in the castle here at Ballyadams. Originally the doorway would have been as high as the segmental arch there, so you can see it was bricked up at some point, or blocked up, so that would have been a much higher doorway. So what we're looking at, the doorway we see today, is a doorway that was inserted much later on in time. So that would have been part of the original Anglo-Norman gatehouse doorway, just here. But as I said, it was bricked up, and likely by the O'Moores themselves, who also added the window at the top here. Just moving on then to the fortified house then at the side here. On the 1565 cotton map of County Laois, we can see Ballyadams depicted as a castle, a towered castle like this, with a curtain wall going around it. So that's 1565. There was no sign of a three-storey house beside the castle at that period. So by 1649, the Down survey map of County Laois, we actually see a three-storey house on the Down survey map. So we can date this fortified house on the side here to the period 1565 to 1649. And of course it would have been built by its new occupants then. There would have been new English settlers in the area, and it would have been built with large open windows. There weren't really too pushed about defence in the area, as of course the county would have been planted by then. Most of the tribes were either sent away out of the county, or they came under the control of the English totally. But this particular house is said to have been attacked in 1643, and it was also attacked in 1798 during the United Irishman Rebellion in 1798. So its then occupants were the Butlers, and they moved to a nearby house here in Ballyadams, and their direct descendants still live here today, and they've invited us in here today to do the talk. Just in terms of the O'Moores then, in 1534 the Silken Thomas rebellion kicked off in Kildare. The Earl of Kildare rose up against the English, against King Henry VIII, mainly due to the surrender and regrant policy of the English. But the O'Moores also joined in with the Silken Thomas, with Silken Thomas, and this castle was actually captured in the year after that by Earl Desmond, who came up from Munster with an army. So in 1534 the castle was captured by the Earl of Desmond. It was then a number of years later when the O'Moores basically accepted surrender and regrant. Patrick O'Moore is said to have resided here, and Patrick basically lived in the castle up until 1547 or 46, when again the O'Moores went into rebellion with the O'Connors in Laois, the O'Connors of Offaly, and also some Geraldines in Kildare as well. So again, Lord Deputy Bellingham actually arrived here in 1547. This was in around the time when the fort was built in Port Laois, Fort Protector, and he attacked the castle. The O'Moores were effectively chucked out, and the English, the new English settlers, basically took over the castle, garrisoned the castle here at Ballyadams, and it was in English hands then for the next couple of centuries afterwards. A Welsh settler, a new settler to County Laois, who came over to settle here in the county, called John Thomas Bowen. He became constable of the castle in 1549, and apparently John Thomas Bowen was quite cruel to the locals and the natives, and over the course of a number of years he built up a reputation as being a fearsome kind of a ruler in the area, and he got the nickname as John of the Pike, or Séan of Phíce. So he used to ride around on horseback, and anybody that wasn't working properly on his land, he would drive a pike through them and kill them instantly. And John Thomas Bowen basically, he died then into 1569, and his son Robert Bowen inherited the castle. He had a lease, a 21-year lease on the castle. So John Thomas Bowen is he's buried up in the church up at Kilmacady. We'll go up there in a few minutes and take a look at his tomb there. Robert Bowen became Sheriff of County Laois, High Sheriff of County Laois in 1579, and he resided here at Ballyadams Castle. He was constable of the castle here, and again he was said to be quite a cruel man in terms of treating the native population. And the castle, on the right tower here, on the tower to the south here, there's actually a dungeon inside there where many prisoners were held at particular times during wars and unruly behaviour from the natives. So we might just take a look inside the castle and have a closer look at some of the features. So this is the doorway here into the gate tower, if you like, or the castle in Ballyadams. And last year, unfortunately, the original door panels here that were at Ballyadams Castle were stolen from the castle, and they were most likely dated to maybe when the modifications were made when the Bowen family moved in here. And unfortunately somebody came along and basically invaded private property and took the doors, and they've vanished since, which is such a shame because they were quite unique and exquisite doors from the time. And I just show you the murder hole, it's a defensive feature here at the castle. Just over the main doorway here we would have had a murder hole, so if somebody was coming to the castle uninvited, somebody would maybe throw a stone or maybe even a crossbow or something down on top of you, maybe even a bowl of porridge so it was really hot or something, or hot oil, and scald you. So unfortunately the murder hole wasn't active at the time when the guys were taking the doors out here last year. But so every castle has its kind of haunted story, if you like, and I suppose here at Ballyadams we have the dungeon area here, which is basically a vaulted floor here with an insertion here in the middle of it, and this was used as a dungeon for unruly O'Moores who were often just maybe thrown in there and died effectively, or were taken out at a particular time. God only knows how many native people in Laois perished here down in these dungeons here in the castle. So, like a normal house, a castle also had to have a toilet back in the day, and they were called garderobes. And this is an entranceway on the first floor level of the garderobe. So people would just kind of sit on the ledge here, do their thing, and it would accumulate in a cesspit below, and somebody would have the brilliant job of collecting all the cess from below. So I was talking earlier on about Ballyadams Castle and its multi-period use, if you like. But the castle, would you believe, was actually still in use up until the 1930s or thereabouts. And you can see here there's some fireplaces here going up along with some red brick inserted. You can also see some plaster and work here on the wall, again some more red brick. And basically there was somebody living in here in the 1930s, but these fireplaces were put into the castle sometime around maybe the 1700s or thereabouts, and the occupants at the time, who were the Butler family, basically lived inside here for a time, and after 1798 they moved location to the new house now, the new Ballyadams house. So we're still in Ballyadams. This time we're in Ballyadams Church, which isn't too far from the castle, and we're at the tomb here of Robert Bowen and Alice Harpole. This tomb, it's known as the tomb of John of the Pike, but it's not the tomb of John of the Pike at all. It's the tomb of Robert Bowen. And in 1830, with the agrarian violence in the area, the local ribbonmen came along here to the church and desecrated the tomb. The top portion of the tomb was broken up and scattered throughout the townland of Ballyadams. And the reason why the ribbonmen did this is because they thought that this was actually the tomb of John of the Pike, but in fact it was the tomb of Robert Bowen, John's son. So basically, Robert married Alice Harpole. Alice was a Harpole from Shrewell Castle. Both the Bowen family and the Harpole family were new English settlers which came into Laois during the plantation of Laois in the 1550s. We would have had basically an English knight in chainmail, and we would have had his wife Alice in kind of medieval dress depicted on the top of the tomb. It's unfortunate that it's not there today, that we can't see it. So just again Robert Bowen's tomb here, and I'll just read out the epitaph here. It's in Old English, so you'll have to bear with me. Hopefully I have a good tongue for it here. So, an epitaph on the death of Robert Bowen, Esquire. If tears prevent not every reader's eye, may well perceive that in this tomb doth lie friends' hope, foes' dread, whose thrice victorious hand gained love, wrought peace within his joyful land, whose worth doth mount itself on angels' wings, whose great descent was first from royal kings, whose never dying virtues live for why, whose fame eternal lies, he can never die. And just here we have the heraldic emblem of the Harpoles and the Bowens, united in marriage, and we have it all kind of symbolised here within this emblem here. It's kind of hard to decipher some of the features there at the moment, but on the bottom here we have Robert Bowen and Alice Harpole, 1631, and it said both of them died within the same year. So again, we're in Ballyadams still. This is our last little stop before we go elsewhere. So I've brought you here to a holy well here, and it's attributed to Saint Aed MacBriach, who gives the townland and the parish its name here, Kilmacedy. And this well is called Tubber na Súil. And Tubber basically means a well in Irish, and Súil is eyes, so it's the well of the eyes. And people years ago used to come here to this limestone pavement that we're on effectively here in County Laois, not down in the Burren. And people used to come here, and if they had an eye complaint or an eye ailment, they would take some holy water from the well, and it will cure their eyes, apparently. Now at the moment, if you were to put your hand in that and put it into your eye, it would probably infect you. But then again, I suppose that's the times we're living in these days.